Having been involved in solidarity issues to do with Latin America all of my life, things do change. During the dark days of Pinochet, during the dark days of Operation Condor against all the radicals and left people all over the southern cone, there were military governments over most of Latin America. There was the most abominable abuses of human rights going on. Henry Kissinger was running, in effect, most of the governments. We have a different situation now. We have a president in Chile whose father was hounded by the Pinochet regime. We have a different regime. We have a strong student movement in Chile demanding free education for all, a lesson we can learn in this country. We also have a kind of déjà vu, and Ambassador Alicia was just explaining the way the vulture funds are working against Argentina. They're disgusting, those people, utterly disgusting. They're contemptible. They buy debt at the most vulnerable period of the country. They deliberately refuse to participate in the settlement offered by the Argentinian government in order to extract the maximum at a time of their choosing, and that is what they're doing now. We need to stand in solidarity with the government of Argentina as it faces this attack from the vulture funds around the world. What is also happening, particularly since the fundamental changes in Venezuela and Bolivia, has been a recognition of the needs and rights of indigenous people. All those languages that were suppressed by the Spanish conquistadors, all those rights that were ridden out by bourgeois constitutions in the 19th century, and all those land struggles that are still going on as indigenous people seek to protect their land, protect their environment, and protect their livelihood against the voracious appetite of big business to plant soya and other things that can't grow, is not environmentally sustainable in some places, and is very damaging to the environment, not just of the continent, but indeed of the whole world. There are very significant struggles going on all over the whole continent that we have to be aware of and in solidarity with. The re-election of President Morales with a huge majority, the election of President Maduro, indicates that despite everything that's said by the rest of the world about them and their governments and their country, the ordinary people know that with those governments, they've got more chance of a school, more chance of a doctor, more chance of a job, more chance of somewhere to live than they have if they go back to the old system. It's an economic battle that's going on. Do you want to go in the direction of the ALBA Pact and redistribution of wealth, or do you want to go in the direction of the North American Free Trade Association area, which is not about protecting the poor, not about redistributing wealth, everything about destroying working class organizations, destroying social infrastructure, and making life safe for the multinational corporations? We are faced with a world where global corporations have never been more powerful and never operated with a greater sense of impunity, and national governments have never been weaker. In our own country, xenophobia is the order of the day, when the order of the day ought to be the limitations and lack of democracy and need to protect our public services and public good, and need to take those things into public ownership rather than leaving them in private hands. That surely is a better way forward. There is so much we can learn from the history of Latin America. Those people that have suffered so much ask for and deserve and will get our support and our solidarity. And one suggestion that came from the workshop I just did on Central America was that we hold a special day session on Central America in view of the human rights crisis. I'm sure everyone would agree with that. But above all, we need to learn the lesson, learn from history, learn from progress, learn that things can happen and change is possible if we're united and strong and determined and understand where we're heading for. This conference is a lesson for us, not just in what's happening in Latin America, but a lesson for us in what we do in this country as well as all over Europe. Thank you very much for inviting me today.
only 10 minutes.